Hi, guys. Welcome back to the show. I'm super excited about this episode, you guys, because if you tuned in last week, I shared why I've been away for a year and what that journey has meant for me. Well, today marks a special moment. Not only am I back, but I'm also sitting down with my very first guest on the podcast. We're diving into a topic that's become a cornerstone for my own healing: self-love. My guest today is someone whose perspective is both soulful and grounded. And when I asked her how she sees life, this is what she shared with me. I see life as a multi-dimensional puzzle, and each of us is working on our own personal puzzle, made up of experiences, challenges, insights, and gifts. Some pieces feel joyful, others painful, but every piece matters. And the beautiful truth is, our individual puzzle fits into a greater human puzzle, which fits into an even larger planetary and cosmic design. When we begin placing the pieces of our own life, understanding our purpose, healing our wounds, reclaiming our truth, we're not just aligning with ourselves, we're contributing to a wholeness of something much bigger. Her message, simply put, you are perfect for your purpose for being here now. And when we begin to live from that truth, everything begins to make sense. You guys, before we dive in with our episode today, I do want to take a moment to extend an open invitation for you to come back again and again. And I also want to invite you to subscribe to the podcast. That way you won't miss an episode once I upload a show. With that being said, you guys, I'm excited to introduce today's guest. She is a holistic inner peace alchemist, a speaker, author, and the founder of HeartJoy Transformation. Please welcome Kimberly Humphreys to Authentic Talks. Authentic Talks is all about authentic conversations. This show is all about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. If you're looking to grow and become your authentic self, then this is the podcast for you. And I am your host, Shanta. Welcome to the show. You guys, I am so excited about today's episode. I am talking with Kimberly Humphreys, who is a holistic inner peace alchemist, a speaker, author, the founder of HeartJoy Transformation. And I'm really excited because I attended an event that Kimberly created or brought together, and it was a very beautiful event, and I will have her tell us all about it. You guys, her book is titled The Ultimate Self-Love and Guide and Journal. The Ultimate Self-Love Guide and Journal, a journey to embrace your true self. So she's all about that life. Here's a copy of the book. I'm holding it up in my hands. And I just really am so honored to have you here with me today, Kimberly. This is my first episode after being gone for an entire year with a guest. And so it's a pleasure to have you with me as my first guest. Before we dive in with our episode today, can I have you to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure, Shantae. And I just want to say I am honored to be your first guest after the break. And yes, this is definitely such an honor to be here and to work with you because you helped me to bring that dream of mine to life, which what is my passion. And we created a nonprofit to be able to bring the education, the knowledge of holistic health, what holistic actually means, and how people can have an alternative option to what they're relegated to as far as their health goes and their lifestyle. There's so much, and as you said, my passion is self-love, is because that's where it starts. Holistic is about the whole person. And we cannot do anything until we know who we are.
I love it.
Know who we are, accept who we are, and just really appreciate ourselves, because all that we give to ourselves, we can give to others.
I love that message. I love the message that you share. And I know that you have a signature message where you say, you are perfect for your purpose for being here now. And I absolutely love it because that's actually a really powerful statement in itself. Can we talk about that a little bit more?
Absolutely. It's so true. And it's something that has to be unpacked. But we're not going to unpack it here now because that's a whole book. But the truth is, everything that's created has a function, right?
Yes.
And everything that so the creation is made for its purpose, for the function of it. And we're no different. We have a creator, and the creator created us for a purpose. And guess what? My purpose is not the same as yours. No one's purpose is exactly the same. And so we cannot compare ourselves to anyone else.
And that's where people go
What we
wrong.
can do is we can understand,
I think that's what sometimes people actually do, that where they compare themselves to someone else. I was having a conversation today with someone, and they were talking about like how it was a conversation about needing to get a house because they needed to have that, they needed a mortgage payment in order to feel like they fulfilled, like what they think society believes is successful. And so when you talk about,
accomplishment, sure.
yes, yes. And so we had got into a pretty deep conversation about that. So I love what you're sharing, that everybody's purpose is the same. So someone else may have had a dream about that, and that could have been their purpose, like to get a home so that they could raise the foster kids. But that doesn't have to be your dream, to adopt 10 babies and, have a 6-bedroom home so that you can raise foster kids. So I was
Yeah,
basically
that's not
explaining
for
that.
everyone.
Right.
That's a special calling right there. You have to get that call in order to fulfill it. And that's the thing. We each have our own unique calling. And only our heart, that's where those answers are.
Yes.
And what I love in my practice is I help people go there to get their answers. I don't have their answers. They have their answers. I just help them get to the place in themselves where they can hear them, receive them.
I know that you definitely talk a lot about self-love, and your book, as everyone can see, it has a title in there, and you are the Heart of Joy coach. The concept of self-love, can we talk about that a little bit? Where self-love can mean different things to different people. Can you define like how self-love, what it means to you and why you think it's so important?
So, yeah, I had an interesting childhood and growing up. I was always different. I certainly had no love for myself or acceptance of myself because I wasn't accepted at all. Like I wasn't accepted by my parents or my grandparents, or like I just wasn't accepted. I was there. Anyway, that's so then I entered into marriages where I wasn't accepted for who I was. I could never be good enough. And it wasn't until after the second one that I realized, okay, 2 marriages failed. I'm the common denominator here. It's me. I don't have a healthy love for myself. And where that came from has to be spirit, because it just came to me. I don't have a healthy love for myself. And I'm attracting these men into my life who do not have a healthy love for themselves or me. And so I said at that point, I am willing to be single. If you get me out of this one, I'm willing to be single for the rest of enough to have a healthy marriage. And I said, but if I am healthy enough to have a healthy marriage, I'm open to that, but I'm willing to be single for the rest of my life if that's what it takes. And then I began to work on myself. And through many different encounters, experiences, I learned and grew in that unconditional self-acceptance. And actually, it was definitely a gradual process. It was an evolution over time. And yes, and so that was that part of it. Before that, when I was actually yet in the marriage, the first one, I had asked myself, I was in my mid-20s, maybe 30s, and I asked myself, what is it you would be willing to die for? You know, you need a backbone. What is your thing that you would,
Non-negotiable.
yes, exactly. What is your non-negotiable? That is exactly it. And I came up with love.
Wow.
Love was the non-negotiable. Now, at that time, obviously, I didn't completely understand what love was. I just knew that I knew about the love of God, agape love. And that was the love I was speaking about,
Mm-hmm.
agape love, which is unconditional acceptance, even though I didn't even interpret it like that at the time. That was, like I said, in my 30s. I had always wanted to be whatever God wanted me to be. I said, okay, whatever, however you want to use me, you created me, I'm open to that. And that's all I want. I want to do what I'm here to do. And so, like I said, I evolved into understanding what that looks like, what it is. I have that metaphor about the puzzle. I love putting together puzzles. And so through my life, I am putting together this puzzle. And I knew that it was not only for myself, but that I would reach a point where I would be able to share it with others to help them with their puzzles.
I love that. When you say that, like, you felt that you were unaccepted, like, by your parents and grandparents, can you clarify what is that? What do you
Sure.
mean by that?
Absolutely. So on my dad's side, there is a lot of Caucasian. Well, it's not even Caucasian. They were actually Portuguese, but they didn't know it. But they're light skinned, a lot of straight hair, a lot of Native American, maybe Indian. Well, it was Portuguese, but there was some Native American too, and Caucasian. Yes, I don't know, but you had that. And then on the other side, you had more African American. Well, I wasn't black enough. I wasn't white enough. You
Oh,
know, and
yeah,
so
yeah.
and I was holistic minded, and nobody knew what that was. I didn't even know what it was. I just knew it made sense to me.
As a child?
Yes, as a
Oh,
child,
wow.
I wanted to know. I don't, first of all, if I have a headache, I don't want an aspirin. I want to know what's causing the headache. So if you take me to the doctor, I want them to tell me what's causing my headache. Well, they didn't know. They didn't care. They were just trying to give me some medicine. I didn't want any medicine. I didn't want any medicine. I don't care how from as long as I can remember, I never wanted medicine. I wanted to know what's causing the problem. I remember thinking, give the medicine is just like putting a band-aid on a gushing wound. It's not healing it. It's not going to help it to heal. It's just going to cover up, or mask it. Yeah. And so that was my thinking. And this one time, it may seem like I'm bouncing around, but all of these are puzzle pieces that came
Mm-hmm.
together for my puzzle. When I was about, I don't know, 10 years old, I'm going to say, I was getting on my mother's nerve, evidently. We were getting ready to go somewhere, and she just said, go out and sit in the car till I come and everybody's ready. So I went and sat in the car, and I'm by myself sitting in the back seat. And I was frustrated too. I said, what is life all about? It just can't be you're born, you try to be happy, you have children, and they do the same, and then you die. That doesn't make any sense. What's the purpose? I'm looking around the neighborhood and I'm seeing all this order in the world, you know. And I said, if we can create this, surely some higher intelligence had to create us and have a purpose for us, a purpose for creating us. And if they're that intelligent, and I know they are, obviously, they would know how to communicate that to us. So now I'm not angry or upset. I'm curious. So when my mom and my grandmother, they get in the car, and my sisters, I don't know my words, but I remember asking the questions. And I asked those questions about our purpose, you know. And my mom, it was at the risk of her backhanding me, slap, you know, to say, shut up. But she didn't. But I took that risk. She
Yeah.
actually paused and thought about it. And she said, yes, there is a God. His name is Jesus. And he gave us the Bible. And the gist of the Bible is to treat others the way you want to be treated. And my heart kind of sank because that didn't answer my question, really.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, I'll get my hands on that Bible and I'll get the answer. And I did get the hands on the Bible, and I opened it up and I started to read it, but it was in Old English. And I couldn't understand.
That's like the thou
Exactly.
art.
Exactly. Thou art thy blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get past the Old English. And I didn't think to, you know, we didn't go to the library, and obviously we didn't have the internet in 1960 or 70, what it was.
Yeah.
I was born in 60, so it was around 1970 something. Anyway, I just thought, okay, well, I guess I won't know. I just kind of probably gave up. But that curiosity never went away. It was there, present, open for these answers to these questions. That was 10. And when I was 18 in my own apartment, people came to my door and offered me a Bible study. And I accepted. And I started studying the Bible. And I studied that Bible for 30 years with different denominations. And I got some answers. I didn't get them all. I kept studying out of the, you know, I just had this journey. And I actually tell the story of that journey in my first book, What's Love Got to Do with Anything?
Oh, okay. What's love got to do with anything?
That's it.
Oh, I love that. The title of it. And is that book available where people could purchase that book as
It's on
well?
Amazon. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
My Journey to Love. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
If you follow
So
me as an author, you'll see all the books that I've been a part of.
nice. So once you discovered what self-love was like, do you think that did you find that it was easy to show love to your children, or was that something that came about in later years?
It's interesting that being able to show love to my children was in itself an evolution. Because growing up, I definitely wanted to give my children more than I had.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't have the tools or the model to really know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I did the best I could with what I had. I
Yeah.
was there for them. Like if they came home and they brought home a grade that was lower than what I believed they could do, I would go meet with the teacher and find out what's going on. Why, you know, and usually it was the teacher. But after I had that meeting, they brought home straight A's. I mean, you know, in that whatever
Yeah.
that class was. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I supported them there. When it came to, like, for example, this is it's going to be public, but anyway, my son, he would say when he was about 10 or 11, Mom, would you come give me a back rub? I would give anything to be able to have that opportunity again. But I said, sleep. You're just trying to stay up later, you know.
Yeah.
And there are things, little things like that. Being there for his games. I was all about being in church. We needed to be in church. And it was just me. I mean, I had a husband, but he wasn't in church with me. They were about the baseball, and I was about we need to be in church. That was me though. I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to. I wanted some structure for a healthy family. That was my intention.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it all works. I believe this. I have no regrets, only because I learned. I
Yes,
learned that everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to for the highest good of everyone involved.
I believe that too. And you can't go back and
Mm,
change the past.
you can't,
You can't.
not only can you not go back and change it, you don't need to. We need to have no regrets because just like I said, we are perfect for our purpose for being here. So are our experiences. Each of them has a gift for us, especially if they cause us trouble or pain. And the wonderful thing is that the deeper and more difficult, the harder the pain, the greater the gift. In such a way that once we realize it, once we have that gift that painful thing came to bring us, we would do it over again in a heartbeat. We wouldn't change anything. So if we are still feeling like we want to change it, just know there is something very valuable and powerful that came to give us. That's like a gold nugget. It's like mining for gold in those painful experiences.
Like you said, it's
That's
like your puzzle pieces.
yes,
Your
yes,
puzzle
they
pieces.
absolutely are puzzle pieces.
Yes.
Absolutely. Key puzzle pieces.
Yes, I believe that that is absolutely true. For people who are struggling right now with self-love and they don't understand like what that looks like, what it feels like, what do you think that is? And what can they do to
So what it is we're evolving as humanity, as people. And I don't like to see people blame somebody or something, this conditioning. The conditioning is just part of our spiritual immaturity. And so we are here to grow spiritually into the fullness of love. We may not get to the fullness of love in this lifetime. We might. It depends. Everybody's different. Everybody's on a different path, but all to the same love, but at different levels, different stages. And this is why we need to take judgment out of our life. It's just not serving us anymore. It may have served us 100 years ago, but it's not serving us now in this
Mhm.
time of humanity and our existence and evolution in this time of our evolution. So just know that wherever you are in your level or ability to love and accept yourself, you're right where you're supposed to be to do the growing that you need to do. Now, the universe has brought up a whole crop of coaches. And so there is one for you. We're both coaches. There's people for each of us, for all of it. For every coach, there is a person who needs that person to be their coach.
That is
And so
absolutely
when
true.
you hear your coach speak, you will know that's the coach for you because it will resonate in your heart. You'll go, I need to see that person. I need to work with her or him because there's male and female coaches. There's all kinds. They're all ages. They're all flavors. And there's one for everybody. And so you do need a coach. You just do. That's why we're here. That's why the universe brought us up because people need coaches to be able to be that. I don't want to say mirror, but it is. It is. It's a mirror because we reflect everything that we see, everything that we interpret around us, that we see in the world is our reflection. And this is how we learn how to love ourselves, by recognizing that what we see is our reflection. If we like it, it's something that we can appreciate about ourselves. If we don't like it, it's an opportunity to make peace with a part of ourselves that we have not accepted. And that's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. The first thing, though, the first step is to recognize, to realize that you truly are perfect for your purpose, for being here now. And with that mindset, with that understanding, with that context, that new context for your life, you can begin to interpret things, your actions, your words, your behaviors in a more loving way, a more self-accepting way, a more forgiving way. Learning to unconditionally accept ourselves is a process, and it happens one moment at a time, one action at a time. And the reason we need a coach is because most of our way of operating is unconscious. We're not aware of it. So we need someone to be accountable to help us become aware of the things that we do, think, and say, the way we are, that are not serving us, that we're not aware of. So that's why it's important to have a partner in the process. I wrote the book, The Ultimate Guide, Self-Love Guide and Journal, to help people who are not ready to go to get a coach. The book is kind of that, and then I also created a community for people to communicate, to kind of share their journey or their struggles and get support from each other, peer support, as well as mine.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love what you're doing because I think that like self-love is one of the it's a hard one for people to sometimes embrace when they don't have a coach or have the tools. And I find that people have a difficult time when you're speaking with them and doing some of the exercises. Like this is a journal, you guys, and there's like questions in here and it takes you on a little journey. Sometimes they have a hard time with things like writing a self-love letter to themselves or looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, I love you. And you said something, Kimberly, that I thought was really key when you said, like, you don't believe in, like others just kind of like putting the blame in other places and not taking the accountability for themselves to basically heal and to get to the next level. That happens frequently. I remember being there myself where you've heard those stories where where they say there's two people that grew up in a household and the one guy says, hey, I am an alcoholic because my dad was an alcoholic, and the other one's like, I'm not because my dad was an alcoholic. It's kind of like that, where at some point you do take responsibility for doing better, and just kind of taking the steps to learn. Now, I know that you have a holistic health event. I attended the very first one. It was called Ignite Your Holistic Health. That was the name of the very first one. And it was really nice. I enjoyed it. I met some amazing people. And this is something that you're talking about or sharing that you want to take on the road pretty much from city to city. Can we talk about like what can you make the connection with self-love and holistic health, and how did you
Yes,
get there?
yes. And I just want to say, you were an integral part of the wonderful energy of that event. And I just want to acknowledge you and praise you for that. Yes, thank you.
That was all you. It was you. I mean, you came
The
up, you had a
reflection that we
vision.
have going on
Yeah.
here.
You had a vision, and it was just
Yes, you
nice to
all
see your vision
supported
come
it.
to
Thank you.
light, and
Wonderful.
I think it's definitely something that's going to become one of those things where it's like the health fest, the holistic
Yes. Yes,
Big
holistic
fuss.
health fest. I love
Yes.
that. I love it. So this holistic simply means the whole person. And the whole person starts with the person. So
Hmm.
we have to, there's a whole universe inside of us that we need, that we can explore, that we want to explore, that we want to get to know, accept, appreciate, and honor. Because as we do that, the deeper we appreciate and go into ourselves, that's the depth that we can actually appreciate what's outside of us. Because as I said before now, and it's worth saying again, what we experience outside of us is merely a reflection of what's inside of us. And when we understand that and we operate in that, that's holistic living.
I love that. That's a hard one to swallow sometimes. When we have
Yeah,
these different, yeah, it's pretty tough when you have like different encounters. And you mentioned your mother. Um, and we love our parents. You know, I love my mom. There's times where I see things in her that, it could drive you nuts a little bit, or it just feels tough to have to accept. And one day I was sharing it with a friend and I said, sometimes my mom is extremely negative and it's just, and then she was like, she said something like, well, that's a reflection of you also. And like basically what you see in her, you see it because it's in you. And I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
ooh, I was like, oh, that's tough. That is
But
so,
I want to clarify that. Yes, there's two ways to see it though.
uh-huh.
We can see it and be resistive. Now that's when we're not acknowledging it in ourselves and we're not accepting it in ourselves. Is there because at some point it served us. And even if we inherited it from our mother or whomever, when we see it and we have that reaction, that's an opportunity to make peace with it in ourselves. Then when we see it in them, it's not going to change them per se necessarily. It could. But when we see it in them after we have accepted and resolved it and reconciled it in ourselves, we will see it in them with compassion. It will not be an irritant or
Mm-hmm.
a,
Like a
yeah, it will
trigger,
not be an annoyance.
yeah.
It will be something that we see and our heart just kind of goes out to them because we were there.
Mm-hmm. Right on. And then I also love the fact that you didn't give up on love.
Mm-mm.
Normally you hear people say, "Oh, I spoke with someone today that said I gave up on all of that. I went through a divorce and that was just it." And I just decided to dive into my work or my love for something else and poured it in there and just left the humans alone.
So many people are there. So many people are there. This journey, my journey has been so rich. I feel so blessed and honored to have had the experiences, gain the knowledge and depth of understanding that I'm so happy to be able to have these kinds of conversations so that I can share that wisdom that I've learned with others who are suffering. And you do not have to. You do not have to suffer. You do not have to shut down your heart because of past failed relationships, because those past failed relationships have a richness. If it weren't for that second one, I would not have realized that I needed to love myself. That was a rich gift.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I was devastated when that second marriage didn't work. I was like, God, how could you? You know how sacred I feel about marriage. how could you let me get into this marriage with this man? Blah, 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 blah. You know, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. There was a lot of gut wrenching, painful times. But then, because of my relationship with my creator, I came through it. Because of my faith, because I know after I, have my temper tantrum,
Mm-mm.
I was able to receive that message
Yes.
that, you know, first time, second time, these, the men that, they were, there's nothing wrong with them. Uh, you know, I mean, other than we're here, whatever is going on with us, whatever is a part of our purpose for being here. It's our puzzle pieces. It's the things that we have to work with. And the key, the message that I really want people to understand is we need the proper context to evaluate, to interpret our life experiences, to put this puzzle together. Where if we don't have the proper frame for it, the context of it, we're not going to be able to put together a puzzle that makes any sense at all, that fits
Mm-hmm.
together at all. We
Yes.
only within that framework of our purpose for being here is we're perfect for that purpose. And the purpose is for us to grow into or evolve into greater love. And that happens through our own unconditional self-acceptance and our evolution in that process. One thing at a time, one incident at a time, one thought, feeling, whenever we put ourselves, pay attention to our self-talk. When we hear ourselves, put ourselves down, call ourselves stupid or you idiot or we do this.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that when we become aware of what we're saying to ourselves and change that model, change that dialogue with ourselves, we begin to change. We begin to grow. And when I'm working with people, we get into the stuff, the painful stuff. And what I love about it is we get to transform the pain into self-love. That's what we do. And it is, I love it. I love it. I love it because for years I prayed, just use me for your good. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So to
That's
get to
good
do
stuff.
that is just such a joy.
Do you think that there's a misconception about what self-love is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. People think self-love is bubble baths and
Go
going
get
to the
your nails
spa and
done.
exactly getting my nails done, getting my hair done, buying clothes, buying things for myself. No, 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 no. I mean, those things are nice, but that's not self-love.
Right.
Or maybe a self-care, but self-love is unconditional self-acceptance. That's what self-love is. And that happens as we react and respond to the world around us and begin to accept it
Mm-hmm.
as a reflection of us, appreciating what we like and love, reconciling what we don't. This is
Mm-hmm.
self-love.
I love self-love. You know,
It's our spiritual growth.
why it just feels like that's something that we just didn't. Well, for me, I feel like that was not really a thing growing up. It's like I feel like you nowadays you have to teach kids. I feel like we have to like teach them things that we didn't learn. And I don't know that that is an automatic thing where you're just like 5 years old and you're like, I love myself. And it probably does have a lot to do with the way we are treated by, at home as little ones. And it's like at first, you're cute and cuddly and I think they care and I think they do love, but it's just everybody has a love language.
Everybody has a love language. And I was listening to you about, you know, we didn't grow up this way, and yet we have to raise our children or teach our children. And I think that why I am unique in being this self-love advocate. My parents didn't even know what love was. Not just my parents, their parents. Nobody ever said, I love you when I was a child. Nobody ever said that. That just was not something anybody said. And like I said, so my parents, my mother was 16. She had just turned 16 5 days before I was born. My dad had turned 18 after I was born. 10 days or something like that. 12 days. So they were kids, and they were not just kids. They were like rebellious kids. They were just wild out in the street doing whatever. They were anyway, you know, that's just how they were. I love them. I chose them, and this is something I want to just share real quick. We chose everything about our lives. Our soul did.
Yeah, I do believe that.
Yeah. Because this is our movie. We chose every character in the movie to play out our role.
So that we could evolve.
Yes, absolutely. That is the purpose of our life, to evolve. And it's a spiritual evolution. And so we're not going to understand it from a human perspective. It's just not going to make any sense. So it makes sense from the context that we are spirit beings come here to have a human experience to evolve our soul. Now that's probably a whole lot to unpack, and we're not going to do that today. But just know that if it doesn't make sense, that's why. we're in the human realm. And that's not going to make sense.
Do you find that you had some commonalities when you think about it now, and if you just look back on your life and you go, oh, I chose my mother to be my mother for this reason? I was able to identify. Yeah, I had that too.
My mother is a free spirit. And so I know I got that from her. And my dad is a pragmatic. And so, I kind of grew up by myself because they weren't there. My mom was doing her thing. My dad was doing his thing. My grandmother was doing her thing. She was the custodian. She was pretty much, I was left in her custody most of the time. But she was busy. She belonged to all these Messianic clubs and church and whatever. She was always doing something. So I was at home. I was the oldest. And probably from 8 years old, I was taking care of my younger siblings that were almost 2 years younger, 5 years younger, 8 years younger. Yeah, my sister that's 8 years younger than me, that was my baby. Wow. I changed her diapers, boiled the bottles, made the formula. I did everything.
So you were already putting out love at a young age without realizing it.
Well, I don't know if it was, yeah, I guess I was.
Yeah, it was a form of love. You didn't let him die. You fed her, changed her diapers, because that's a form of love, and it might not be all the way up to like what you think that it should be, or should have been, but it was love.
Right.
Yeah. It was a form of love. Yeah. So tell us about the holistic event. How does self-love tie into the holistic event or like the holistic approach? Or
I get it. You want to understand where the holistic expo comes from, and self-love and how they go together.
Yes.
Where they meet. So self-love is a part of holistic. Okay, it's a part.
And you did say that earlier.
Yeah.
You did.
So because people need to know, I just want people to know. They really aren't connected in that there's more ourselves. When we accept ourselves, when we want the best for ourselves, we're going to want what's holistic.
Mm-hmm. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah. And so I want people to know that they don't have to be subjugated to, well, that's all we can do for you. There's nothing more that can be done. Well, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they don't have a medicine or a surgery for whatever's going on with you, or they can't even find what's going on with you, doesn't mean you're destitute. Doesn't mean that that's all there is. There's a whole new universe. There's a whole new world of possibilities for you. And I want to bring this to the community. And it's not just me. So like there's the three of us, right? And there's more that are going to come to be a part of it. AyurVersity was started by three people who had a passion for people to not have to suffer. My husband is a holistic practitioner, and he's amazing. The thing I really love about AyurVersity is that each of us, the three of us, from a child in our special area, in our lane, we have been growing in this from a child. My husband used to read medical encyclopedias. His mother was a nurse, and so they were in the home, and his sister was always sick with something, and he would just like to go in the encyclopedias to try to see what's wrong with her. And
Mm-hmm.
he would tell them, this is what's going on with her. And they'd say, boy, you don't know what you're talking about. And they take her to the doctor. Sure enough, what he said was what the diagnosis was.
Wow.
And then Shelley, our chef, she grew up with both of her grandmothers were chefs. And she was always helping them. And she loved helping them. That was her thing. She had sisters and brothers, but she was the one that always wanted to help do the cooking. And she's just a chef in her own right. And she's a soul food chef. And her soul food evolved into seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local.
Mm.
That's the soul that she puts in.
Seasonal, organic,
Organic,
unprocessed,
processed, and
and
local.
local. Oh, I love it.
Locally sourced. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Soul food. And she has a food truck. So she makes healthy fare. She also got a master's in digestion through an Ayurvedic teacher. So she understands it Ayurvedically, which is bioenergetically. So she understands what's going on with you, what foods you really need for what's going on with you,
To help your
what's
body. Yes.
at a cellular level. So each of us practices our craft holistically
Mm-hmm.
at the cellular level, each of us. And that's what AyurVersity is about. Ayur means life to the full. Versity is learning. It's just learning. Learning in a way that changes you.
Mm-hmm.
But university, AyurVersity. The
I love
University of
that.
Life and Longevity is what we. Yeah.
So you're on
So
a
these,
mission to educate.
yes, educate, bring awareness, expand the awareness of what's available to you.
I think there definitely is a huge, huge misconception. Some people think that holistic is only about what you like, just being a vegan. They say just take the meat out and there you go. Some people think that it's, like going on a liquid diet. I've heard a lot of people thinking that, hey, look, I'm drinking, what is it? It's juicing now, is what they say. um and that's a holistic approach, and I love how you define it, because I agree with you 1,000% that it is all of you, all parts, including your energy, your inner, your outer, like how you just the whole everything, and it takes time to get there.
We have 7 layers of being in this space. And when we are healing, we have to address all of them, or we're not going to be fully we have to address all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They
I
all
love
are
it.
affected by everything.
Going back to your holistic health event, tell me the name of it. It's because I was calling it Ignite Your Holistic Health because that was the very first event. And there's an event coming up on June the 7th here in Chandler, Arizona. And it's called
Thank you. So the theme name is Introduction to Holistic Health. Ignite Your Health Holistically. Ignite Your Health Holistically. And if you come for no other reason, come to learn what holistic really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What can they expect when they get there? Guests.
I'm so excited about our speakers and our vendors. So we have a wonderful doctor. She's amazing. She's a chiropractor and a neurologist. So she helps to connect the mind and the body, the head, yeah, the brain and the body, and align them, which covers a plethora of challenges that people are faced with. And
Mm-hmm.
she'll talk about that. So you got to hear her. And then we have the Amen Clinic. I don't know if you ever heard of Daniel Amen, but I started following him in the 90s. He does these scans on the brain to be able to let you know what you're doing. And he's a specialist when it comes to ADHD. And ADHD is so prevalent in the world. And so he helps with that. He has he has protocols, he has a book, he has a whole program. And he has clinics now all over the world. He's originally from California. Well, his primary clinic is in California. And so one of his doctors is going to be speaking as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a wonderful doctor by the name of Sarah Becker. And if I didn't mention the first doctor's name, her name is Dr. Janine Krafasi. And then Dr. Mark Anderson is from the Amen Clinic. Dr. Sarah Becker is a physical therapist, but she's way more than that. She practices a practice called releaseology, and she helps the body release trauma. And she can see it, so she just knows how to manipulate the body to help it to release it. And then we have a cranial sacral release practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
We have Rich Humphreys, who's my husband, and I'm not sure. Last time he did the muscle testing, and there was a never-ending line. I hope he does that. He wants to talk about Vastu Shastra, which is something to come and learn. And whether he gets to talk about it or not, now if you've heard this, you can ask him. What is Vastu Shastra? I'm not going to get into it. You can look it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then Vastu Shastra is basically the science of architect, which is the original feng shui.
Mm. It sounds like there's going to be lots of educational, definitely an educational event, which I absolutely love. So, and there's sometimes things that you cannot get in a podcast. It's good to go face to face. We had COVID for a while where everybody was separated, and this is a time for people to come together under the same space to learn, to meet like-minded people, and to build community. That's what I love. You're building community while educating and spreading a positive, powerful
100%.
message. So it's good stuff. So we're going to have all the information in the show notes of where the event is going to be, the address. It's going to be in Chandler. If someone wanted to pick up wait, let's go back to the event. What time is it? It's going to be on
Saturday, June 7th, downtown Chandler at the Soho 63, which is on 63 East Boston. It's just east of Arizona on Boston Street. Lots of free parking in the parking garage. There's plenty of free parking right across the street from it. And so that parking is not going to be a problem, not going to be a hassle. It'll be wonderful, especially if you park in the garage. It'll be nice and cool in there out of the heat. And then time is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So be there by 10, no later than 10, so that you can get the full effect.
Right on. That's good stuff. If someone wanted to pick up your books, where can they find the books again?
I will have my books available at the event. I will have my own table this time.
All right.
So I'll have books. I'll have some wonderful bundles, my affirmation cards. This is a mug that has the affirmation of, I am perfect for my purpose for being here now. You are perfect for your purpose for being here now. And you could be reminded of that all day as you drink your water. Hot water, warm water with some lime. Yeah.
I love it. So thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me. And we had a little trouble with our internet here, but it's absolutely fine. I mean, like, your message definitely is a powerful message and a positive one, and one that people need to hear. And so I'm excited for you. I'm grateful that you invited me to be a part of your event. It was really beautiful, and I know this one's going to be amazing as well. And so I definitely look forward. You guys have got to come on out. Bring your family, bring your friends. Do they need to register? Excuse me.
They do. I recommend registering. So it's expo.ayurversity.org. And there's going to be activities for children. I encourage you, if you want your children to participate in the yoga for the children, it's going to be capped off at so many. And so it's a limited number. And yeah, you need to register, because we need to know how many children they need to be pre-registered, and there is a waiver form that needs to be signed. So all that's in the registration process.
And I'm going to have all that in the show notes.
It's on, yes, perfect. Yeah. So, and there's a QR code that makes it really easy to register. So if you do happen to come without registering, you'll have an opportunity to do it while you're waiting in line, or you'll do it when you get to the table.
And what is it that, before we go and end our episode, I do want to say thank you so much again for hanging out with me. And I'll let you go ahead and take these guys on out with your ending message. Thank you again, Kimberly. You guys have got to follow her on Instagram, Facebook. I will have all of the information in the show notes. And yes, Kimberly, the mic is yours. Take it away.
Thank you. Just remember that you are perfect for your purpose for being here now. Don't let anyone, including yourself, tell you otherwise.
If there's one thing I hope that you take away from today's episode, it is you are not behind, you are not broken, and that you're exactly where you're meant to be, learning the pieces of your own puzzle. And as my conversation with Kimberly today reminded me, and hopefully reminded you, that self-love isn't something that we earn, it's something that we return to. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're on this path of self-discovery, know you're not walking alone. Until next time, be kind to yourself, take care of yourself and each other. And as a reminder, all of the information for Kimberly is located in the show notes. Please connect with her on social media. And if you are in the state of Arizona, we hope to see you on June the 7th. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Shanta with Authentic Talks.